Hey, how you guys
I,
doing?
hey, Brian, John Warrow here.
How you doing?
Good, good. Congratulations for the deal. Obviously, what are your thoughts about coming to Buffalo? And I think one of the reasons you're relatively a popular choice to we all want to talk to is because of maybe some of the connections with your dad and the Dolphins and what happened back in the '90s. Just I mean, I'm sure you're expecting that, but what are your thoughts about signing with the Bills, and then just the thoughts about your dad and some of the things that happened back in the '90s?
Well, first and foremost, man, I'm 100% excited for this opportunity to play with the Buffalo Bills. That's first and foremost. I feel really great about this opportunity. The direction this team's going in, I feel like they got a really good roster, and I feel really good about that. And then, I mean, honestly, that happened so long ago. It has nothing to do with me. So that's what I would say about that. It has nothing to do with me personally. I mean, my pops is excited just as I am. I'm sure he'd be happy to come to Buffalo. I mean, he has no hard feelings. That was just back in the day when he was playing. So that was that.
There was a Bills fan I talked to who actually was one of the guys who engaged with your dad. He still holds a grudge. I mean, how do you win those guys over?
By playing ball, man. I mean, I feel like if I come in and produce, none of that matters. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I'll be embraced. You know what I'm saying? Regardless if I come in and do my thing. So just playing ball.
Thanks, Brian.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Brian, Sal Capaccio here, WGR Radio in Buffalo. Congratulations. Welcome to Buffalo. Yeah. Can you describe your playing style, where you fit best, you think, on the defensive line, and kind of what you bring to the table?
So I like to describe myself as more like a Swiss Army knife, almost like where you can plug and play me anywhere. But I feel like I fit best on the edge, coming in around 260, 258, coming off the edge. So that's where I feel like I fit in the best.
Hey, Brian, it's Marcel Louis-Jacques with ESPN. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good. Can you describe your relationship with Eric Washington? Because now we've seen I believe, the third former Panthers D lineman that's worked with Coach Washington to come follow him to Buffalo. So I guess what's your relationship with him, and why do you think so many players are coming up to Western New York to play under him once again?
So for me, I mean, he took me in as an undrafted free agent coming out of college. So I have the utmost respect for Eric Washington. He believed in me when nobody else did. So I feel like that's one thing that just gravitated me towards him. And also just the type of coach he is. He's a very thorough, on-point type of coach, and he takes a really different approach to the game than a lot of different coaches. And I feel like that is it really was beneficial to me in my first couple of years, with the Panthers. So I felt like it was something that I wanted to get back with and, finish the process with him.
Okay, thank you for joining us, Brian. It's Mark Gaughan from the Buffaloes. I have two questions. One, your time with the last 6 games with Cleveland last season, did you feel like you came on a little bit there? And, where do you feel like you are in your career today as opposed to 3 years ago when you came out of college?
I feel like I'm leaps and bounds ahead of that. I mean, I always say I wish I knew what I knew, now back in college. But, I mean, everybody has 20/20 hindsight. But I just feel like I've learned so much and grown so much as a player from when I first came out to now. And I didn't really have exactly my opportunity with the Panthers that I would have, liked. But, you got to roll with the punches. And I went to Cleveland sort of, kind of unexpected. It caught me off guard a little bit, not going to lie. But I feel like I definitely – as I got back in that system of Steve Wilkes' defense, I felt like I was definitely coming on towards the end of the year.
And then the next question is, your dad obviously has been a high-level a coach at the highest level on the defensive line.
Right.
How much, do you talk to him after every game? Does he study your tape? And how much has he helped you with your technique?
So my pops is my biggest critic. I'll tell you that right now. even in high school, man, nothing positive. He would always have something negative to say every single time. And, he'd always say, you do what you do well, so I'm going to talk about the bad stuff. So he's always on me about, what I could have done better in a different, each situation in the game. And we always talk through it. So, yeah, he's in my ear.
Hey, Bryan, Maddie Glab, one of the team reporters here at the Buffalo Bills, had a question about what your training has looked like this offseason with COVID-19 and the virtual offseason. What have you been up to? How have you been keeping in shape?
So I actually have a personal trainer that I work with, just me and him, do solo sessions, individual sessions, so I still get my workouts in pretty much as normal. There was really no hindrance to my workouts.
Where have you been training, and do you always train with him? Is it somebody who you've been training with for years?
Actually, no, I just started training with him this offseason. I feel really, really good about the progress that we've made. Made a lot of big strides in just my running form and, different little nuances of the game. So I just started training with this guy, but I've barely been liking it.
Awesome. Thanks, Bryan.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Bryan, it's Josh Reed with the CBS station here in Buffalo. Congratulations. Welcome to town, I guess, when you finally do make it here. What is the preconceived notion of Sean McDermott and Leslie Frazier? What do you know about them before you kind of even get here?
Yeah, so I actually missed Coach McDermott. He left the year before I got to Carolina. But I've been hearing nothing but good things about how he's such like a player's coach, in the sense that he can understand and he can identify with the players, and that's one of the main things I've been hearing is that he's very, very you can work with him. Very likable guy. That's what I've been hearing.
Hey, Bryan, Mike Catalano from the ABC in Rochester. Going back to your dad, and that was before you were born, the main incident that he had. Do you remember the first time you saw either that, where I guess I would say he was telling the Bills fans they were number one, or any of the other things that he might have done? Do you remember the first time as a kid you seeing any of that? And do you remember asking him about what he was thinking when some of those things would happen?
Yeah, I mean, what I would say about that is I feel like football back then was way different than it is now. It was just it was a different day and age, and I feel like, somebody had to be the villain, and I felt like he kind of embodied that, and he really almost fed off of it, I guess, and that was just his thing, and that was what he liked to do. And I mean, we have some similarities, don't get it wrong, but I'm not my father. We're two different people at the same time. So I feel like what he did way back in the 90s shouldn't affect me, 2020. But at the same time, I'm sure a lot of people or a lot of, Buffalo fans will feel some type of way about me, but that's fine, until I start producing on the field.
Great. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Bryan, Matt Perino from Syracuse.com. Congratulations, first of all.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, and so you played with Mario Addison and Vernon Butler in Carolina. Can you tell me a little bit about what you remember about them? And, obviously the three of you, the familiarity, what are you guys going to bring, as a kind of collection to this Bills defensive line?
Yeah, so, I mean, those are my guys, Mario and Vernon. Mario was one of the first, I guess you call it OGs, to take me under his wing when I first got to Carolina. I was undrafted, so I had to go through a whole gulag of the rookie practices and all that stuff, and he was always there, trying to motivate and stuff like that, so I always respected him for that. And, those are two hardworking guys. I mean, they come from the same system with Eric Washington. When he was in Carolina, all of us, we had a really tough Indy. He instilled in us, the fundamentals of pass rush and the fundamentals of D-line play. So I feel like we're all coming from the same tree, and we all can bring, that same juice and energy together.
Have you talked to them at all about kind of the excitement level or of the potential of this defensive line, not only with the pieces in place, but the pieces that you guys have added?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I haven't got a chance to really talk about that yet with them, but I just, said what's up to both of them and told them I'm going to be joining them and stuff like that. So that was cool to do.
Thanks, Bryan.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Bryan. Tim Graham from The Athletic. hate to keep circling back to your dad, but it's interesting, and I think you probably find you get a kick out of it. I see a smile across your face when people start talking about your dad.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to ask what your dad would have done with you had you ever done anything like your dad did, in terms of, now high school's maybe a little different, but if he
Right.
ever caught you or saw you doing some of that stuff, what would he do?
Like flicking the crowd off?
Sure, or grabbing
I mean,
somebody by the face mask and trying to twist their head off.
Yeah, or that. I feel like, well, I mean, it depends on like what level. Like, I mean, if it was high school, I'm sure it'd be different than, you know, if it was college, and then different like NFL, you know what I'm saying? NFL, I'm a grown man. He can't really do nothing with me at that point. But if it was high school or college, he probably wouldn't be too happy about that.
I don't know if I'm picking up a vibe here. I'm just going on a hunch here. You got the Dale Earnhardt T-shirt on. Dale was kind of known as the big badass. You didn't want to get in his way. Little Lee is the nice guy. Everybody loves him. Is there a Dale Senior, Dale Junior vibe with the Coxes?
I call it what you want. You can call it what you want.
Are you a nice guy?
Oh yeah, I'm a great guy. I believe I'm a great guy. But it's also, you know, when you get on the field, you got to flip the switch. So it's a little different when you do that. Environment changes a little bit. You got to adapt.
Thanks, Brian.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Brian, this sort of ties in with your dad, but it's really just, you know, going back to when he played and being a Buffalo and knowing about what happened and just your experience in general. What do you know about Buffalo? What do you know about the city, the fans, anything like that?
I know it's cold. I know that. I know it snows a lot. Other than that, I honestly don't know too much. I know it has good wings. Know that. But I'm excited to explore a little bit, you know, see what's out there, because I really don't know too much about Buffalo, you know, other than what might have been ingrained in my head when I was like a very, very small child.
Thanks, Brian. Congrats again.
Yeah.
All right, Brian, that was the last question, man. Thank you.
Yes, sir. For sure.